Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Tuesday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. My dog's over here having a dream. It's weird. Yeah, it's Tuesday night. We're going to create some cool coffee art. I mentioned in previous episodes that, I've gotten a lot of great feedback on my coffee art. There's a guy in town who has a coffee shop. And he said, hey, you create them, I'll put them up in my coffee shop. So I'm like, I better create some because I only have like two. I gave one away, so I only have one. So I need to create a bunch of coffee art, basically. So tonight we're gonna create. I think it's going to be a wolf. We'll see how it goes. It might turn out terrible and be like a Siberian Husky. We'll see how it goes. Um, Let's see. So I do have it kind of sketched out. I'm just going to hop into it. If you're in the chat, we can chat. And I see a couple people are in here already. Ida's in here, Luke's in here, Kid's in here, Hater's in here, and Moon's in here. So this is going to be great. Some of you guys, well, all of you guys have been in here before, so you kind of know how this goes. But because some people do come in and watch these things later, I'm going to kind of go over the process anyway, in case you forgot or something like that. So basically, this is a coffee art painting. I start with coffee and I add water and I just throw it on the paper and see how it goes. Hey, I see Ben's in here too. Cool. And then basically I just come in and make a mess and just see how it goes. Like, especially in the early stage. Let's see. In the early stage, I just kind of want to like just throw coffee down on the paper, just see where it goes. This is kind of like a bit of an organic process. I'm not too worried about making a mess. Well, actually, the goal is to make a mess. So I think it creates a really cool, neat effect. But I'm not worried about any details. I'll worry about that later. I'm starting over here because I kind of figure that, I mean, you can kind of see from the sketch, the head's going to be up here. And then I kind of wanted to move into this like darker area that would be like the fur and stuff like that. So that's the idea at least. And I like, especially in this early stage, I like to like really pull up or create a pool of coffee because I do like to create a little bit of a gravity effect where I just let it stream across the page. I always end up making a big mess and like I got coffee all over my hands. That's okay. I'll throw it back on the paper. Um, and of course, I end up with coffee all over my lap. But that's the way it's supposed to go. So I do like this stream, but I kind of want like a little another stream going over here. So I'm going to kind of like give the gravity a little bit of an idea of where to go. You can create these kind of like little cool channels and stuff, and then just let the gravity do its own bit. Um, so let me add a little bit more, let it pull back up again so that I can kind of get it going down those channels as well. Hey, Vertigo, how's it going, man? Ain't seen you in a while. Hey, Ida, what? Guess what? Is this multiple choice? Hopefully it's good news. Yeah, so just like let that gravity just kind of direct it. And then I'm just gonna like leave these areas kind of, let me get my finger in here. This is kind of a big board, by the way. This is, I've mentioned before, these are 12 by 18 pieces of paper, so it's kind of hard to kind of get it all into the picture, but I'm gonna leave these like little areas pulled up because they're gonna kind of dry really cool, I think. Um, and yeah, just go from there. Well, you gonna tell us what's up, Ida, or what? Let's see. What's that's a weird alien thing in the most recent video. Um, yeah, like the most recent video is actually surprising. I don't understand how YouTube works. Like the most recent video I did last Friday is like getting more views, and I don't know why. Like it's up to like 400 views, which is a lot for me. I mean, maybe some of the other people on YouTube and stuff, they're like, oh, 400, that ain't nothing. But to me, that for a live stream, that's pretty cool. I don't know how it happens though. It's all confusing to me. Oh, you're doing a lino cut, lino cut. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's cool. Yeah, printmaking. Oh, that is awesome. Oh, thanks, Vertigo. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the stag turned out, and I'm really happy with how that horse has turned out. I'm a little afraid of doing another horse just because that horse turned out so well. I'm like, oh man, if I do another one and it looks like crap, I'm going to feel bad about that. But there will be another horse picture in the future. I just haven't gotten to it. So at this point, again, I do have this sketch going, but I'm going to put in like a really light kind of base coat just to kind of figure out where all my different tones are, like shadows, things of that nature, and kind of give me a base to pile coffee on top of each other. That's really how you end up with the dark values. You have to like, it's a lot like watercolor. You have to kind of build it up over time with a bunch of different layers. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. The other thing is I don't like relying on pencil. I'd rather go ahead and get some of this in here so that I kind of know where different things are. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, you're doing bears for the print. That's cool. Yeah, or on a live stream. That's not awesome. I don't know what's up with YouTube, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep making these. People come in, they seem to enjoy it and stuff like that. So if they're enjoying it, I'm enjoying it. I don't care what YouTube does. If uh if YouTube wants to send traffic my way, hey, the more the merrier. If not, hey, I'm having fun. So what you guys don't know is that this entire room smells like coffee right now, and I love coffee. So that is an added perk of this. Perk. Percolated coffee. Get it? Never mind. Uh, I'll stick to my day job. But yeah, just kind of like go in here and get some of these darker areas kind of like I want to get these in early just because I want them to dry so that I can kind of come back over them and add more coats to get that really dark values. Another tip is I've got different size brushes. You saw that I started with that big brush. I don't like how this is pulling, so I'm going to kind of redistribute this. When it pulls like that, it runs the risk of warping the paper. So I'm just going to kind of smooth that out, mop it up, redistribute it. This is a really forgiving way of doing like a painting, by the way. You can you can make messes and recover from it pretty easily. Especially like messes are part of the style anyway. So like you kind of want some messes in here just because it makes it look cooler. That's the idea, at least. That's my idea. I don't know. You guys might disagree, but listening to an audiobook before while I carve the print, but listening to your stream is much more fun. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. That's cool. Yeah. I try to keep it interesting. I would love to play music while I'm doing this for you guys, but I have to find a service or whatever that allows me to do that. So that, it's not all just my voice or whatever, or snoring dogs. I don't know if you guys can hear the dogs snoring. I tried to put in like some audio suppression so that their snoring isn't so bad. Sound like a robot. The audiobook. Yeah, a lot of times they do have like the haters point, audio, like AI audio voice over kind of things, reading books for people. I like um I like books that are read out, like audiobooks that are read out by humans. If you, there's some like classic books that are read by volunteers, and I like that better than just like I don't know, like voiceovers or whatever. Although, AI voiceovers aren't terrible. I like the technology. I think it's kind of cool. I think it really helps with disabled people, like people who are blind who can't read. They can have books read to them. I like that kind of thing. Oh, I missed because I can't story. Oh, you've never had a cup of coffee? What? Why? Why would you do that to yourself? It's like the only legal stimulant you're like that's socially acceptable. Coffee's great. I love coffee. Honestly, I don't know how I'd wake up in the mornings without coffee. It's kind of a necessity for me. I don't recommend getting in that big of a love affair with coffee, but I do love coffee. Um, I drink so much coffee that if like I go too long without it, I'll get like headaches and stuff like that. You don't want to be at that level, but a little bit of coffee doesn't hurt. Um, don't quote me because I'm not a doctor or a scientist or any of that crap, but I heard that coffee has like uh, beneficial traits to it. Like it kind of gets a bad reputation, but I don't think it's bad for you. But definitely check my notes on that. Like check with your doctor. Don't listen to some guy on YouTube telling you that coffee's okay. Now, if you drink tea or something like that, that makes sense. But no caffeine? Why would you do that to yourself? I don't get it. No, I didn't drink coffee until like late in life. Like I was an adult before I started drinking coffee. Um my parents didn't let us drink coffee until we were like 12, I think. And so I was kind of like a late starter on coffee, but man, once I started drinking coffee, it was definitely a coffee life for me. But you know what? If you don't drink coffee, that's fine. You can paint with it. I think this wolf's gonna turn out cool. I was hesitant to do a wolf. I was torn between like doing a wolf tonight and maybe a raccoon, just because I think raccoons are the cutest things in the world. Um, Next stream, Jeremy will be drinking coffee and painting with bourbon. Hey, if I could paint with bourbon, I would. I just don't think I'm gonna like you might be able to stain the page with bourbon. Um, Same with like wine, but I don't think you're gonna get any kind of dark effects out of it. That's the challenge. Like you can paint with wine, for example, and you'll get like this kind of like this pinkish sort of like color out of it, but it's not going to my knowledge. Like I've seen some other people try, and it never really turns out like you always have to augment it with like ink or like paint or like paint like I don't know like acrylics or something like that. Maybe watercolor, but I don't think wine alone is going to do it. So if wine can't do it, and wine's probably going to stain the paper a lot more than the bourbon, I'll give it a try. I'll definitely give it a try. Yeah, Mountain Dew's fine. As long as you're getting your daily dose of caffeine. That's where our concern comes from. Like, are you getting enough caffeine in your life? That's we want to make sure that you're all caffeinated. I'm joking, of course. Like, you probably should limit the kind of amount of caffeine that you drink. But everything in moderation. That's the way I look at it. Like, I do drink bourbon, but I don't recommend drinking excessive amounts or anything like that. Same with coffee. Same with Mountain Dew. I love Mountain Dew. I drink Diet Mountain Dew. I can't drink the non-diet. I can't drink non-diet soda of any type. I used to when I was younger, but I just stopped. And I always thought the diet stuff like tasted kind of funny, but now it's like the exact opposite. I think the non-diet drinks taste funny. Mountain Dew is great. Of all of the different soda drinks, Mountain Dew is my favorite. What do you guys call soda? I'm calling it soda because I'm on air. I usually call it pop. Um, so I know that that's like a regional thing. Different people call it different things in different places. Like a lot of my family down south, they just call it Coke, and it doesn't matter if it's Coke or not. They just call it Coke. So I'd be kind of curious what some of you guys call it. Or you can just call it Mountain Dew. Get some of these eyes going. I always like to get the eyes in early, just so that while you're watching, you're kind of anchored in on something. That's a little bit darker than I intended. So I'm just kind of roughing in these areas. I really want to use like a finer brush for them, but this is a good start. Sody pop, I like it. Pop, yeah. So you pop guys, I'm guessing probably more closer to Midwestern. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. People call it like in New England they call it tonic or bubbly. Like everybody's got a thing. It was looking like a dry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. That's what I love about this kind of style, like where you're just kind of making a big old mess. It's definitely open to interpretation. I hope that, at the end, it kind of resembles something like what I want it to, but definitely as you're going along, it's like seeing faces in clouds. You see what you want to see, and I kind of know what I'm painting, but you guys don't know yet. So like I can see how that might be interesting, where you guys are kind of like trying to figure it out as I'm going along. That's part of the magic of it, I think. So here, this side's going to be kind of lit up, so I want to be very careful over there, not to overdo it. And then underneath his mouth, it's kind of the same way. So I want to be kind of careful. And when I say I want to be careful, that means I want to keep my marks light. So I'm going to carefully kind of put in, like you barely even see it on camera, but that's okay. I kind of want some fur coming off the mouth because that's really what all it is. Like you don't, this is kind of lit up, so you don't see that part. It's it's like painting in the negative space, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of like the white pencil on black paper. You're kind of leaving this part light and filling in the darker areas. And sometimes it's less about painting as it is about just kind of dabbing. Because like here I'm kind of dabbing it in, and it's leaving this pool of coffee there, and it creates it much darker. Whereas if I just came in and just kind of like brushed it, it's like it's not going to work out right. So for like finer lines, I think it is a bit more like dabbing. And then of course, like over here, it kind of gets a little bit darker, so I can be like a little more just flowing with that. So some of these areas are going to be darker as we go along, but I just kind of want to get the base coat in. Again, I was debating whether or not to even do a wolf because to me this wolf kind of looks a little menacing. So I'm on the fence. So like the idea that this series is about painting these pictures so that they end up hanging on a wall in a coffee shop. So I was sitting there trying to imagine what it might be like sitting in a coffee shop and you got these paintings around you. And I was like, well, if the horse is up there, that's pretty relaxing. You're sitting there chatting with your friends, you're doing work or something like that, you're having a meeting with somebody, um, you're just hanging out and stuff. So, like a horse up there is nice and calm and relaxing and stuff like that. And I was thinking the same thing about that raccoon I was going to paint. And then I started thinking about this wolf. And I'm like, man, the wolf looks cool. I want to paint the wolf. But then I started thinking, like, well, do you want a wolf on the wall of a coffee shop? I don't know about that. Because it's a little bit intimidating. Like you're just sitting there trying to relax, and here's this wolf staring at you while you're drinking your coffee. I don't know if that's a good experience or not. But I always err on the side of, well, that looks cool. So I went with the wolf. Hopefully it turns out looking like a wolf. It runs the risk of looking like a dog, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, Vertigo calls it burners. Sorry, I missed that. Of course you call it burners. Iowa. Yeah, it's a Midwest. Cool. See if I can catch up. Fizzy drink. There you go. Call it fizzy drink. That makes sense. It is fizzy. It's like the whole point. The wolf is looking amazing. Thank you, Ida. I appreciate that. Get some. Yeah, we've had a lot of snow here. I know that like you guys are from like all over the world, but we did get some snow here. So all I hear outside this window is cars trying to drive in the snow. It's been sitting there for like 2 days, so it's the crunchy kind of snow. But I love snow. Of course, you only love snow for the first couple of days or something like that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's in my mind, it's not really about selling. Like, if any of these pieces sell, that's cool. But like, if they're just hanging up there, to me, that's amazing because like. I don't know. I've never had that. Like I go to places where people have their work hanging. Like I love going to like galleries and museums and things like that. That's like my whole thing. That's what I do for fun. It's pretty sad. That's what I do for fun, but it is what I do for fun. Um, so like just having the work on the wall, even if it just sits there for like a year and doesn't move or anything like that, to me that's awesome. I can live with that. I don't know. So the guy who agreed to hang him up, he's a pretty cool guy. Like I already kind of knew him and stuff like that, but my friend knows him a little bit better. So my friend's the one that talked him into having him hang my stuff up. Um, I don't know what his expectations are. Like I don't know if he thinks that they're gonna like, move or not. But in my mind, I'm happy if they sit there forever because then people can come by and look at them. I'll send people there. I'll be like, hey man, do you know my stuff is hanging up over there at that coffee shop? You should definitely go to that coffee shop. Why would you go to Starbucks when my art is hanging up over in this place? 8 feet high snowdrifts. Whoa, that's crazy. Any wildlife coffee painting would look good in a coffee shop, except for a raccoon. A raccoon. I think you're trying to talk me out of putting my raccoon picture up. I think the raccoon picture will look cool. I'm definitely going to do that soon. I do need to do another horse at some point just to see if I can duplicate the process. Because I was really happy with that. I was trying to think of other things. Um, I don't know how exotic I want to go. I mean, this is Kentucky. Like, we're not really exotic people. So I don't know if I want to do like elephants and tigers and all of that stuff. I like that kind of wildlife and I would love to tackle it. I just don't know if like people around here are that interested in it. We have a basketball team through the college, so like the UK Wildcats, if you guys are familiar with them. I don't know how to paint a wildcat, but I'm probably going to give that a shot at some point. Just because you got to give people what they want. Even though I don't watch a lot of sports myself, and I'm more annoyed whenever the Wildcats are playing because like the traffic is terrible. I am going to paint a Wildcat. Get some. So you see how it works. As it starts to dry, you can kind of come in and put darker layers over it. And really, that's the entire process. You're just building up layers over time. You're working from light to dark. The benefits there are, well, it kind of works that way anyway, but because it's transparent, so you can't put light over dark with this medium, just like watercolor. But the other um, the other benefit to it is that you're allowed to kind of fix things as you go along before you really commit to it with like a dark splotch. That's a technical term, splotch. I'm just kidding. Really dark area between the eyes. I think that's gonna look cool. Put your art out into the world. I'm trying. I'm on YouTube. I am trying to put my art out into the world. You're in New Zealand. I'm in Kentucky in the United States. So literally, I am global now. I am all over the world. I'm not gonna let that go to my head. But yeah, so we got New Zealand representing in here. We've got London in here. Great question, Vertigo. Sorry, I missed your comment. Do copy paintings fade with time? Any special protection needed? That's a great question. So, is yes and no. So, copy itself is not going to degrade over time to the point where it's going to disappear from the page. Like this stain is always going to be on the page. That said, my understanding is that you do want to kind of give it some protection. So obviously, with any kind of watercolor painting that's not going to be sealed up in glass, um, and you should probably do this anyway in case it doesn't get sealed up in glass. But yeah, it needs to be protected from moisture. It needs to be protected from dust. These are things that can affect a watercolor picture of any sort. Coffee the same. So like you do want to protect your picture from moisture, especially if I'm going to be putting these pictures up in like a coffee shop where there's like there could potentially be some humidity in the air. Yes, I do want to protect these. So that requires like a clear acrylic sealant. That'll take care of that. The other thing with coffee, and I'm not 100% sure on this because I've only recently got started, but I'm going to do it anyway. Is I think they might fade over time if you don't protect them from UV exposure. And there's a special kind of sealant that you can put on there. So my strategy is that I'm going to apply some UV coating to it, and I'm going to apply a sealant to it, and I think that'll be fine. I think that that will protect it from both moisture and the sun. Because I don't know. So, like, I'm going to probably have some say in where the guy hangs these up in the coffee shop. And it's kind of a dark coffee shop anyway. There's like a lot of windows, but they're all tinted. But I do think that like just to be on the safe side, I do want to kind of protect them in case they're exposed directly to the sun. Um, Plus, you never know where they're going to end up. Like they might end up in some office or some house or something that has direct exposure to the sun. So I am going to apply UV protection to it. All of that said, I'm not sure how much it matters. And the reason why is because I have done coffee paintings in the past, like many years ago, and I've given those to friends. And well, I did one coffee horse, and my friend hung it up in his office. That's the reason why I did the other coffee horse is because my other friend who just got a new office knew that I did a coffee horse for my other friend, and they were jealous and they wanted one. So that's how that worked out. But yeah, so that one was hanging up for quite a while. It never really degraded over time. But that's a great question. The answer is I don't know for certain, but I'm going to play it on the safe side and do all the things that you should do with watercolor anyway. I don't think it's that much different than watercolor. It's basically powdered pigment, and it's um it's ground up coffee beans, that sort of thing. So don't see that altering too much over time, but yeah, sunlight in the coffee shop. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem at this particular coffee shop. They do have tinted windows and all of that, but you never know where it's going to end up. You want this stuff to kind of last forever. Um, so for those of you getting started in like art supplies and stuff, you know, I have a tendency to go and find the cheapest supplies possible, but you don't want ultra cheap. You do want to make sure that there's some quality to it, and specifically what you're looking for is something called archival quality. Not everything is like archival inks are important. I've got a set of pens that are specifically archival. Like if you just get like a ballpoint pen or something like that, it's not necessarily archival. You just definitely want to go looking for that specific term, just because things do degrade over time. They're always going back and touching up like paintings in museums and stuff like that from like Leonardo da Vinci and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so like specifically with inks, they do degrade and like kind of fade and things like that. You don't want that happening with any of your art. So what I know about like coffee art is just from doing research, following other people who do coffee art and stuff like that. So I saw one of them recommend some of these things for protecting it, and I'm just following suit. It's not like I just assume they know what they're talking about. What they're saying does make sense, you know. If it is in the sun, you want to protect it, whether it needs protection or not. If You definitely want to protect things from moisture, um, especially if you're going to a coffee shop. Those places get kind of sweaty, you know, steamy. That's how machines work, you know. It's literally shooting steam through the coffee. So you want to be careful. And then that said, probably you should put these type of pictures behind glass. So like when you go to frame them, make sure it's framed in glass. Not everything needs to be framed in glass. You can do like a, I don't know, like an acrylic painting or something like that. That doesn't need to be framed in glass. But you probably do want to put like varnish on it or something to protect it from scratches and dust and things like that. I have a couple of drawings scheduled, but after I finish the 3D drawing, giant pomni for you. Neat. I have no idea what a pomni is. Or you're drawing that for Hater. Okay, that's cool. As long as Hater knows what one is. So I think this needs to dry a little bit more, and I need to use like less water to start putting in some of these darker things. But I think it's a good start. Get some fluff going up here. It's a great question, Vertigo. Vertigo has some of the best questions. Like I get the sense that Vertigo is wanting to create his own paintings. That's why he's asking. Dark areas in here. Oh, so last stream, we were coming up with ideas on what to call the little wooden stick figure guy over here. I didn't get a chance to collect those and put them into a poll, but I do plan on doing that this week. So I did want to apologize for that. I've been kind of busy. Sometimes I uh, Sometimes I kind of like just flake out and don't do things that I need to do. So I do apologize about that. We'll get to that definitely. Hey, Willie. Yeah, see, Willie just came in and she's like, nice wolf. So it looks like a wolf. It doesn't look like a bear or a dog or something like that. That's what I was worried about because there are some similarities. And early on, you can't really tell the difference. Random painting fact, paint used to cost less than canvas. So artists would paint over old paintings. Apparently, the Mona Lisa has two paintings underneath it. I'm not completely sure if this is true. It sounds true. It does make sense. It takes a lot more to process. Um, Canvas in general. If you think about everything that's involved in that, it's got to be woven. It's got to be like stretched. It's got to be primed. It's got to be prepared. All of that stuff. It makes sense that they would reuse canvases. Paints back then, I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but it's like basically go out and collect some berries and mash them up or something. I don't know how paint works. But in my mind, that's what they do. Or they go and dig up some colored dirt and add oil to it. Or no, actually, uh, paint back then I think was tempura or like it was egg based. I don't know what the term is offhand. I know the term, I just don't remember it. But yeah, it was egg based. So they would mix dyes in with like eggs and stuff like that. Somebody out there is watching this and like Jeremy is full of shit. He doesn't know, and they're right. No, I just make pretty pictures. I don't know anything. Or I try to make pretty pictures. Yeah. Should probably throw out the disclaimer. I never went to art school. I don't know all the proper terms and stuff like that. And most of what I do is just trial and error, and usually it works out. Even when a picture doesn't look like it's going to turn out, I just spend more time with it. And there's very few pictures that are completely unsalvageable that I just throw away. I have done that, but for the most part, even though, like, say I looked at this and I'm like, I'm not really happy with the direction it's going, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep working on it and keep refining it and until it does work out. And usually that goes well. That said, there are some pictures that probably should get tossed out, but like I don't believe in hiding your mistakes. So well, I do in the picture, but I post my stuff up on YouTube even if it doesn't turn out right. I think that that's an important part of what I'm doing, which is trying to learn. So, um, actually, I'll give a specific example on that. Hey, Sapient Nomad. So I've only really been practicing art for the last year. Uh, Thanks, Vertigo. Yeah, Vertigo is my fact checker. Please check all my facts because I sometimes, if I had Google in front of me, which I don't, I can answer some of these. But to answer Sapient Nomad's question, so I've always drawn, like throughout, like my entire life, I've always, dabbled in drawing and stuff like that. But I've only really looked into like spending time with it over the past year. So I'm going to claim a year, even though it's been longer, obviously. But earlier in my life, it was mostly just pencil drawings, scribbles, things of that nature. I wasn't really trying. Um, Certainly, when it comes to painting, it's only really been in the last year. That copy painting that I mentioned that I did a couple of years back, it looked terrible. So I've really only been trying for a year. But yeah. Oh, yeah. So a specific example of not really knowing, I was mentioning that I was going to give a specific example of something where you don't really know if it turned out right or not, but it's important to get feedback. So that picture I did last Friday, the colored pencil one on black paper with the white light and stuff. You guys said it was okay, but I wasn't really feeling it. I feel like the composition was a little bit lacking. I feel like I could have added more to it. It was pretty simple. It was just the lady's face, and I felt like there's so much negative space in here. I could probably like, if I had the time or the inclination to like maybe add flowers or some other kind of like something to give it some more visual interest. Um, so I was already feeling like, well, this isn't my best work. Um, and and sure enough, I got like a dislike on it, right? Which I sometimes do, especially on my shorts. Like for some reason, my shorts get more dislikes than my live streams. But that was one of the first live streams that I got a dislike on. So I was like, man, I didn't know it was that bad. So I didn't post it to like places like Reddit, what I normally do. Um, but then, surprising to me is that over the past couple of days, even though I didn't feel like it was all that noteworthy, it has been getting more views. So now I'm not sure. I don't know if that's just YouTube doing YouTube stuff, or if it's not as bad as I thought. That kind of thing. Oh, thanks, Moon. I appreciate that. Yeah, Ida, you definitely should try coffee painting. I think you would enjoy it. Um, it is a lot of fun. Particularly, it's a lot of fun to make a mess and then kind of like try to find some sort of like, I don't know, detail and stuff like that in it. But yeah, thanks, Moon. I appreciate that. So just to kind of um, add to that story. So I was thinking like, yeah, okay, maybe I should kind of hide this because like some some of my pictures I'm not proud of, and I wish they would go away, but I don't want to take them down because like, YouTube cares about like views and watch hours and all that stuff. So I feel like I need to leave them up. Um, so I do and everything, but I hope nobody ever really watches them. But yeah, so I was starting to feel like maybe that picture might be in that category. It's certainly not one of my really bad ones, which I do hope they just disappear forever. I'm not saying that, but what I wasn't thinking was like my best work. So, but then, like YouTube's promoting it and it's gotten some likes and, like a subscriber or two off of that. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm not the best judge of my art, which is a long way of just saying that, which is I'm just not the best judge of my work. I rely on you guys to tell me, um, which pieces are good, which pieces need work, things like that. And you don't hurt my feelings. Like if something turns out bad, I don't care. The other thing I was mentioning is I do think it's important to put it out there, even if it's not your best work. Um, Especially if you're doing what I'm doing, which is trying to learn, trying to kind of journal the process. I think that that's an important part of it. If you're just practicing, you don't need a YouTube show for that. But this is more than that for me. It's part of it's practicing the art, part of it's practicing the doing the art in front of people, part of it's making up things to talk about. All of that stuff is the reason why I do it. So I get a lot of benefit out of doing these. I hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing them. That's kind of up to you. I don't have any control over that, but that's my hope at least. But yeah, I do think if you're doing what I'm doing, which is kind of journaling the process of getting better at art, post your failures too. You know, people aren't jerks. Like even if somebody looks at it and they're like, "Wow, that looks terrible, Jeremy," they're not going to say that to your face. So I don't think there's any downside to it really. That said, I really don't I don't know how YouTube works, so maybe there is a downside to posting your crap. I just love the process. Sorry, sometimes I get distracted by what's actually going on. I love the process of how a picture develops. It doesn't matter if I'm doing it or if somebody else is doing it. I love watching it happen. It's almost like you took a photo, like one of those old Polaroid photos that you had to shake and everything. I love that. That's the real reason why I do the shorts is I love that time lapse of just watching something pop into existence that wasn't there before. Because like I don't know about you guys, but I see patterns in all kinds of things. So like uh fix my brush here. Like you look up at the sky, you see the clouds and stuff like that. I like that. I see patterns in the clouds, and I kind of want it to become a wolf or something, or a giraffe, or an elephant, or whatever the case may be. Um, I enjoy that. So when it happens on paper, that's a bit of a thrill for me. I like it. And it's the same thing with other things that you might see patterns. So like I don't know, you're looking at it, a rippling pond or something. You throw a pebble in a pond, and it creates like little ripples and stuff like that. I would love to see a face of a fish come out of that ripple. That would be cool. But that's probably not going to happen, so that's why I paint. And that's why I really enjoy these types of paintings where you make a big old mess and then you try to create some sort of form out of it, some sort of recognizable thing. I'm going to put some more, try to get some darker areas going here so that it's not all just like one note. And then let that dry. I like just letting things kind of pull up and just that's kind of a neat effect. Yeah, save hint. There you go. That's why I like you guys. You guys agree with me. I feel like you guys know what I'm talking about, even though maybe I don't have the words to explain it or, you know, the vocabulary to kind of describe what's going on. I feel like you guys intuitively see what's going on and you guys appreciate it as well. Or maybe you guys you know, you maybe you guys are artists as well, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're like, yeah, Jeremy, you'll get there. You'll find the word someday. Get a little bit of a underbrow there. Again, I have to be careful over here because I do want that to be kind of lit up. So I have to be a little more careful over here. Make sure that my lines are kind of going in. Because over here, if you make a mistake, you can just kind of cover it up. Over here, there ain't no covering it up. It's more like sketching with the pen or something like that. You can't really hide it. What's the word? How's your week going? So that thing was like some people paint what they see, others paint what they want to see. I like that. Yeah. And it's probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably a combination of both. So I think that I think a lot of times, um, and you know, because you work off of like reference pictures as well. You've got the reference picture, you're working off of it, but then you kind of put your own stamp on it. So it's like, yeah, you are duplicating reality to some degree, but you're also like kind of creating an idealized reality. Especially I think in later stages, I talk sometimes about how when I'm finishing up a picture, I look at it and I evaluate, okay, did I capture what I wanted to? Like, does it represent the likeness of whatever it is I'm trying to create? And if it checks that box off, then I look at it as like, does it work as a standalone picture? Like, forget about what I was looking at in a reference picture. Does it make sense on its own, standalone? Because it's not like people are going to be walking around with the reference picture and judging it. It has to stand alone. So I think that's when it becomes kind of like an idealized reality. You want to kind of want to make sure that you capture, in this case, the likeness of the wolf. But then when you're all said and done, it's like, well, does it look like a really cool idealized wolf? Like, did I get the expression I wanted? Did I get the? I mean, it's just a picture of a wolf, so like, I don't know if there's like a crazy expression going on here or some mood that I'm trying to capture or anything like that. But say there was, um, then it becomes art. Then it becomes kind of like an idealized version of a wolf. It's not just a wolf then, it's a piece of art. And I don't know that I'm actually there yet. That's something I'm working on, but that's where I would like to get, you know, to where I'm creating um like special wolves or something like that. Mama Q, my week is going stellar. I hope yours is as well. I hope everybody is having a great week. It's still early enough where I haven't sunk into despair yet. I'm just joking. But sometimes towards the end of the week, I look back on the week and I'm like, man, I didn't accomplish everything I was looking to accomplish. And then I start getting like anxious. I'm not at that point yet. I do have like a lot of projects I'm working on. So like this is crunch time for me where I'm like, I got to get it done. But right now on a Tuesday, it is Tuesday. I hope it's Tuesday. Um, Feeling pretty good. Pretty good. I'm liking how these coffee paintings are turning out. I uh I think that this series is going to be interesting. I don't know if I always want to do coffee paintings, but I do think that they like have a place in the kind of stuff that I'm doing. Like I want to get into like some other kinds of paints as well, but I do want, I don't know, over the next month or so, I kind of want, I don't know, at least 10 of these done, maybe. We'll see how it goes. This painting will have you howling for a cup of coffee. At some point, so like I don't know if you guys like owls. I like owls. Um, but their logo has an owl on it. So at some point I got to do an owl as well. I think that'd be cool. Hey, Tyler's in here. Tyler, guess what? Uh, Ada beat you to it earlier. She asked, guess what? So like, it's your turn. What are we supposed to guess? I'm going to guess. Um, like I can guess. I guess if I'm guessing, it could be anything, right? I'm guessing aliens landed on your front porch. And that you're not, in fact, you're not actually Tyler. You're one of the aliens impersonating Tyler. That's my final guess. I think that one's true. Aliens have abducted you and replaced you with a alien fake Tyler. That's my guess. I'm pretty proud of that guess too. I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what you're going to say. Aliens took you over. How do you paint so well without a sketch underneath? So I did kind of sketch out where I want things to be. It's not a full sketch, but you end up covering up your sketch anyway. So I think what's more important is that you kind of have some system of kind of mapping out the proportions and just an idea of where things are going to go. So I did kind of like sketch out like, okay, I want the ear to be up here. I want this ear. I want this nose here and stuff like that. But it was just a simple sketch. It wasn't like a complete drawing. That said, some people do work off of complete drawings, and that works for them. For me, at least at this stage of my development, I look at it as like, well, I'm going to cover up all that stuff anyway. So I really just need some pointers. I just need to know that there's a nose over here, there's an eye over here, and so on. And that doesn't require a full sketch. That could just be like a simple dot on the page or something like that. Um, but also that probably works best for like these like kind of um, expressionistic kind of pictures. What's the word I'm looking for? A lot of like, yeah, I think a painting with a lot of expression in it and stuff probably works best for that because you're not making like precise lines or anything like that. If you're doing like a portrait where it's supposed to be like photorealistic or something like that, you might want more precision in it. But there's a bunch of different systems for doing that. Like there's a grid system that people use where they grid out things where they're only drawing what's in that particular square or rectangle or something like that. I've done that before. That works really well. Um, there's there's the I don't yeah, people do this even with painting. There's that Loomis method that you probably heard about if you hang out on YouTube. It's all over the place. That's where you kind of go for like an idealized head where you draw like I don't know, like an oval and you say, well, there's a line here that represents the eyes and you draw all that stuff and then you erase the stuff later. Me, I just put in like little indicators of where things are supposed to be. This being will have you howling. Oh, I already read that one. Did I miss? What'd you name your stick man? Great question, Mama Q. I did mention earlier that I flaked on that poll I was supposed to do. I didn't remember that I was supposed to do it until today. I've got some emails to answer too. So, like, if you send me an email, I'm not ignoring it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Um, I have not done that yet. So I have to go back through the last stream and collect all the names and stuff and make a poll out of it. And I flaked on doing that, and I do apologize. So that's still coming. We haven't named the stick man yet. Think about what today is. Is it sports related, Tyler? I feel like a lot of your stuff is sports related. Did we win some basketball game? No, wait, it's football season. Did we win football something another? It's not the Super Bowl, is it? That's not until February. Um, I don't know, Tyler. Where were some of the names suggested? So from memory, they were all kind of wood related, I think. Uh, I don't remember any specific ones because we kind of call them different things all the time. It's in that last video if you want to go back through it before I kind of pulled them out myself. But things like Woody, things like things basically puns based on wood and sticks and stuff like that. Nope, not sports related. Is it pertaining to? I know you were moving soon, Tyler. Is it pertaining to that? I feel like I'm gonna guess this. Is it pertaining to your move? Did you move already, or is that next week or this week? Or are you on the road? Are you on a plane? You're killing me, Tyler. I don't know. I'm comfortable saying I don't know. There's no shame in that. Rudy, I think that was suggested actually. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's actually a great name, Rudy. But I don't know if I want him named Rudy. That's kind of weird for me. Like I don't know, because Rudy's a real person. I don't want to name him after a real person. He should have its own name. Something unique to him. Not that I have anything against Rudy or anything like that, but maybe Rudy might have something against it. Like maybe Rudy's like, I don't want to be named after a stick dude. Don't know. Oh, you're flying out tomorrow. Okay, hey, congratulations. I got there eventually. Tyler is off on an adventure. He's going to Wyoming, Montana, something like that. One of those places out there. He's going to go and work on a farm and work with llamas, which is pretty exciting. I don't know why you're going this time of year. It seems like it'd be really super cold out there, but hey, that's your thing. Ripped an apricot in half with your bare hands. Yeah, that is powerful. Congratulations. I don't know if I could do that. I could rip my hands in half with an apricot. In my mind, that sounded funnier than it probably actually was. I think probably so. I am going to do the poll because I said I would. But since Woody is the only one I really remember, I wouldn't mind it being Woody. Like whatever it ends up being, it's totally up to you guys. Like this is a democracy here. You guys get to name whatever you guys come up with. I will commit to it, and I will memorize whatever it is, and I will get on board because you guys have the power. Whatever you guys want to name them, I'm totally cool with. I just have to memorize it. That's all, which is fine. I'll write it on a sticky note and put it off camera, and then you guys won't really. I'll be like, yeah, yeah, I totally know what his name is. I'll take a look over at the sticky note. That's how you memorize, right? You make cheat sheets. Hidden Valley. Geppetto. Yes, thank you, kid. That was one of the names. I like that one as well. I like Geppetto. I guess Pinocchio would be a little too on the nose. Come on, guys. That was good. That was a great joke. The dogs thought it was funny. And it's a good joke because you want to repeat it. His name is Pinocchio. If we named him Pinocchio, that would be a little too on the nose. There you go. That's freaking hilarious. I love that. All right. Fine. Whatever. I take it back. I think I'm funny. It's okay that you guys don't think I'm funny. I think I'm hilarious. Maybe I'll just stick to making pictures. Not kind of a joke. Douglas fir. That's a good one. I don't know what kind of wood he is actually. I'm guessing pine. Yes, thank you, Ida. Because his nose grows. Get it? Oh, never mind. You guys will get there tomorrow sometime. You guys will be like thinking back. You'll be like, oh, that was a pretty good stream Jeremy was doing. I love that picture of that wolf. What was that thing he said about Pinocchio? That was weird. Oh, wait a minute. I get it. I get it now. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. You guys will see. You'll be like, I finally get that joke. And it makes total sense. And Jeremy is like a comedic genius. Not only does he paint perfect pictures of wolves, he comes up with the best jokes. Chris Pine, that's good. My I imagine it is pine. That would be my guess on the type of wood. I really have no idea. It looks like pine to me, but Chris Pine is pretty good. I like that. See, now I'm gonna have to remember to add these as well because that's a pretty good one. Ah, Juiciest Burger. Oh man, see, the longer these streams go, you guys start talking about food and stuff, and you guys just make me hungry, especially on like Tuesday. I haven't been anywhere today. I haven't left the house because it's cold and the roads are pretty bad and things like that. And I mean, the roads aren't that bad. I could go to the store if I wanted to. I'm just lazy. But now I'm getting hungry. I haven't had my tacos today. Who invented Taco Tuesday? Is it just because it you know, Tuesday and taco both have T's in them? Why not Thursday tacos? I feel like that's probably like an office reference. Like that was probably the first place it was mentioned on the TV show Office. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my underpainting so far. I do think that there's some more details over here. Let me see if I can kind of get those in just to kind of get an idea. Yeah, he has some fur coming off here. There's a whole side here that I need to kind of fur in. That's a technical term, furring in. Gotta get this fur in here. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're only like an hour in. Cool. Actually, this is pretty good progress for like an hour. I wonder sometimes, like, if I wasn't chatting, how fast these things would go. Like, do I get distracted and that's why it ends up taking like an hour or 2 hours or something like that. Oh, Wagyu, that's a kind of burger, right? That's a kind of meat, I think. I think I've heard of that. I don't really know. Name them sap. Ah, that's good. Sap for sapling. You guys are pretty creative too. I like it. My original tagline for I don't know, maybe I still have it somewhere. My original tagline for this channel was random acts of creativity, and I feel like you guys are expressing random acts of creativity by naming this stick figure guy. I like it. You don't really get to pick your viewers. You go on YouTube, it's a public place. Anybody can show up and stuff like that. I'm very happy that you guys are here because I feel like you guys are my kind of people, which is awesome. Because again, there's no reason why anyone should expect that. You guys could be a bunch of jerks and stuff, and you guys aren't. And I do appreciate that. Like you guys, we're all different and stuff like that. But you guys get my humor, I get yours. It's a good time, and I appreciate it. You guys make it fun. If it wasn't fun, I doubt I would be doing this, to be honest. I probably would have given up. But you guys make it fun. So that's just my way of saying you guys are awesome. I like Woody the most. Geppetto is a close second. Um, Woody makes sense, but some of these other ones and stuff, they're pretty interesting. So like again, it's entire. I'm not even going to bias it, so I need to shut up so that you guys aren't biased by my opinion. It's entirely up to you guys. Whatever you guys come up with, I will go with. It's the least I could do. You guys could name this wolf for all I care. I don't know. All right, so even though the fur kind of comes off and you really wouldn't see it, I want to put in like I'm gonna do it with this brush actually. I'm just gonna drop some. I'm gonna drop some. I'm gonna call it paint, even though it's not paint, it's coffee. So I'm gonna kind of drop that on here, just to kind of create this little extra area going on over here, so that it's not just fur. I think I'll mop some of these things out. I don't like that one. So you can do this with watercolor too, but you see how like I just take kind of like a dry brush and put it down. It just mops those spots up if you don't like them. So that's why like I really love this. So like I love just splotching the page with a bunch of dots, right? But if you don't like them, you can like just lift them up, like this dot here, right? I don't like that one, right? Even though I do actually kind of like that one, but I'm going to remove it for demonstration purposes. So like I don't like this dot sitting here before it stains, before it becomes part of the picture. I'm just gonna boom, gone, right? Gone. So that's how you can kind of control what is otherwise like a chaotic mess. I'm just going to kind of move this out because I kind of want to create some movement where it's kind of moving up this way. So you can kind of like direct these like puddles, but you kind of want to leave them puddles too. Like maybe bring it out a little bit over here to kind of work this under part of the fur. Get some more fur splotches in here. You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but don't pick your friend's nose. Yeah. Yeah, this crew is definitely fun. I appreciate it. Ah, yeah, I thought it was like it was from Japan. So is that a meat or is that a way of preparing meat? To me, it's like beef, but I don't really know. Like there was a place around here that had I don't even know how to pronounce it. Is it Wagyu? They had burgers from that, but I don't know if it was like that's burgers or if it's just like it just happened to be kind of like beef or something like that, and they make them into burgers. I'm looking forward to that. I like Lino Cut. I don't know what they call them over there, but over here it's called high school. In high school, they we did some lino cuts, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Um, in high school, I actually went to graphic arts, which isn't fine arts or anything like that. It's to learn how to do printing. So I actually I actually have some expertise in just printing in general, and that's always been one of my favorite types of printing. This was like a long time ago. So the type of printing I was exposed to was like printing presses with like, you have plates and the ink runs over the plates and stuff. I'm sure it's all done on computers nowadays, but back then it was it was very much a physical process. You had to make a printing plate and then you burned an image into it and then you washed away all the parts that weren't burnt and the parts that were burnt caught the ink and then water kind of like kept the other areas from not getting the ink and that's how the printing press worked. It's called I think it's called transfer printing. I don't I don't remember what it's called, but that's what I was exposed to. But then there was other kinds of printing. They had letter presses, which is like way before my time. It's just they had some of those machines there left over from people before me. But the way the letter presses work is you had like little letters in line art in lead. It's literally lead, and you would put them all in a big old block, and you would put them in a press, and then you would run a like a roller over it, and that's how that printing process worked. It's really fascinating. It's kind of old school. Like I don't think people do it anymore, but like if you're into like retro ways of creating things, it was kind of cool. By retro, I mean like decades old, so like it's pretty far back there. But the history of printing is pretty fascinating. All right. So this area over here is going to have like some dark areas in it, and probably some of that stuff I'm gonna like let it dry and really work on that. Like a lot of times when I work on these things, I come back and look at it in the morning. I feel like this area over here is probably gonna get developed off camera, just because I do like creating like a good deal of texture and splotches and things like that. Um, Mop in some areas here. It is a lot like mopping, you know. Speaking of Japanese, I would love to get into like Japanese brush lettering. That would be awesome. Japanese brush lettering, and then you guys are mentioning printing. I am fascinated by Japanese uh, woodcut art, um, like the old stuff, like what is it? The one with the wave. I forget the name of that piece, but that's fascinating to me. I watched a documentary on that kind of art, and that used to be like I don't know the comic books of its time. They would make these like almost like postcards and stuff with wood block printing, and they would trade them almost like trading cards and comic books and things like that. It's really fascinating. But I always loved that kind of art. They had a display at the Cincinnati Museum, and I went up there for that. And Wagyu cows are fed beer and stuff. Oh, I need one. I need not like the cow, but I need like a burger. There was a restaurant nearby that served those, and I didn't order it, but I thought it was interesting. So I always thought like, well, maybe I'll come back. But now I'm definitely going back. So you guys are teaching me things. Sorry, I get kind of just creative with these swatches. There's no real science to it. You're just making a mess, but it's kind of a controlled mess. Like you want this area over here to just kind of details, and then it kind of just fades into like this kind of abstract thing. This is kind of pulling up, so I want to do something with that. The problem is you get these buckles in it, so you end up with these like little pools and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they're fine, but sometimes they kind of need to be redirected. You're in control of the the way things move in here. I know it doesn't look like it. It looks chaotic, but you do have like a lot of control over what happens in this picture. So again, just kind of building up areas. I know it doesn't look like there's like a lot going on in this picture yet, but this is the process. It does take time, and it does take basically going over the same things multiple times, and then letting it all dry up, and then you come in and maybe put in some finishing details with some really, really dark areas. Yeah, thanks, Vertigo. Yeah, all right, you get it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, because like I do, part of it happens on camera while we're doing these live streams and stuff like that. But during these live streams, I'm focused on the art, but I'm really just hanging out with you guys. After the live stream, then I start evaluating it, and I'm like, did I create a good picture, or is this one of those things that I put away and hope nobody ever notices or not? Um, so I kind of do that evaluation, and I try to see like what can I fix, what things could be better. Like looking at this picture now. All right, so like say we ended the live stream right now, and it's still early, so I'm not going to do that. But let's say that we ended it right now. I can look at this picture, and hopefully you guys can as well at this point, but you can see some things that are problems. One is I haven't had enough bourbon yet, so sorry about that. So there's some problematic pieces in this. One is it's kind of flat. It's kind of washed out. Forget about these things. These things will dry. We'll worry about those things later. I think it's fine just to leave these and just let them kind of do their thing. Just kind of swirl them around every now and then. Sorry, got distracted. So this is kind of boring. There's not like a lot of like light in this picture yet, and I'm really about lights and shadows. These shadow areas are not dark enough. These eyes are not dark enough. It's almost like if you did a wash in watercolor, so like an ink wash essentially, and you did it in watercolor, and then you just didn't come back with like a pen later and kind of like emphasize some places. So that's problematic. Um, it's not anything we need to be concerned about now. It's something that gets built up and stuff. But that's what I'm constantly doing. I'm kind of constantly looking at like, okay, this area here does not have the dark ridge of fur that I really wanted to have. So I'll come back and I'll just add another layer, see how it dries, see if it dries dark enough. If it doesn't dry dark enough, I'll use like a lot less water and come back and fix it later. Same up in here. These ears, they have to be really dark because when you're looking at this, your eyes are just kind of like all over the place. It's not really drawn to anywhere. Definitely lights and shadows help with that. So before it's all said and done, this is going to be super dark up here. There'll be some dark areas here. The eyes are definitely going to be dark. But you don't know until it dries what areas are problematic and need fixing up. And at this stage, it's just making messes and kind of refining the messes every time, if that makes sense. Makes sense to me. I like how this one's pulling. I like that it's kind of pulling up over here, which means this is going to probably dry super light, and then these outside edges are going to be a little bit darker. I like that sort of effect. Down through here, this needs to be much darker to create a contrast between these different things. In fact, I think at this point, I am going to switch to a smaller brush with less water. So a smaller brush with less water. I mentioned this before in past streams. The idea is like as you're working with your coffee, you end up, it's hard to see on camera because it's kind of dark, but you end up with like this almost syrupy area at the edge of your coffee. And as it dries, that's the part that's hard to clean off, like when you go to clean this later. But you kind of got this syrupy mess here. And that is what you really want to use for like almost like the ink outline of it. It's not really ink, but that's how I like to look at it. So I'll grab some of that syrupy mess, if I can get some of it going here. Problem is that syrup is kind of dried up a bit. So give me 1 second. I'll get that a little bit wet. So get a bit of that going, and then you can kind of come back in, and you got to be careful not to smudge things like I just smudged that. Oh well. Um, but the less water, the darker it's going to be, and then you can kind of create this almost like ink outline. And because you have a smaller brush, you need to take more time with it. And this is some of the stuff that I try not to put you guys through. So like this is stuff that I might do off camera sometimes. It's just come back and work on these details. Um, and to me, it's the kind of stuff that like I enjoy doing because to me it's like relaxing. I listen to music while doing it. So it's not frustrating or time consuming or well, it's time consuming, but it's not frustrating because it's time consuming or anything like that. To me, it's like I mentioned before, like this term named Zen. Um, I'm not like a Buddhist or anything like that, but I sometimes borrow terms from other people. But to me, it's like this really relaxing Zen moment um, to just kind of go in there and just kind of like take your time with it. You're not on any clock. You got nothing else to do. If there's something on TV you want to watch, well, guess what? It's playing in the background. You're kind of barely watching it anyway. You're just enjoying the process of putting in some of these finer points. And this stuff, so you've seen me like just kind of, just slop coffee all over the place. This is really where the picture starts to develop is when you take a moment and you put in these details. And I hate to call them details because it is still kind of like loose and that's the word I was looking for. Loose and expressionistic. I don't know. I'm still using the wrong words. But just kind of come in and just kind of like flesh some of this stuff out. Like I want that to kind of come up here. And then now that I've kind of brought that up to here, this right here needs to be further defined. So I'll probably come in here with my ink as I'm calling it. And using a blend of Asian 5 spice. Oh, man. You guys, man, you're making me so hungry. That sounds amazing. It's because I'm doing coffee art. You guys are like, I'm gonna cook. I joke sometimes that you can probably create art with any kind of condiment, but that goes back to the earlier discussion that Vertigo brought up. Like, is it going to last over time? Ketchup will not last over time. Coffee will, though. Ketchup, I don't know. Like, that's tomatoes and stuff. That kind of stuff degrades. So this is kind of smearing, so I know that I need to just like let that sit and dry, and then I'll come back and do another coat over it. But that's where you end up getting your detail and your like contrast and stuff, and that's where the face of the wolf really comes out. But to Vertigo's point, where he says that he comes in and checks the community page, I really recommend that. Like, don't just watch this stream, come back the next day and see the finished work. I really need to do more standalone videos where they're not live streams so that like you guys can see the finished work at the end of it. But anyway, point is, make sure you check it out because like that, I do come back and I do put in like a lot of finishing touches before I call it done. What you guys see here on these live streams is just really the process, not necessarily the product. The product comes later. But also, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I've been moving from large brushes to smaller brushes. That's part of my process too. So like these finishing touches, I'm using a much finer brush, and I'm using them in that order, like broad, painting with a broad brush, and then when you come in and refine things, you're using a smaller brush. The smaller brush stuff takes time, but it's the fun stuff. It really is. It's because you start seeing the personality of the wolf as it comes out, or whatever it is you're drawing. You have a Samoan tattoo on my left shoulder. I cannot summon the memory of how excruciating. I think I know what you're talking about because that does sound painful. That's one of those big pieces where it's like very solid. Yeah, that sucks. All of mine are basically line art pictures, and I only have like two or three of them anyway. Trying to think. Yeah, just two. So yeah, you won't catch me doing that. I don't know. Maybe someday. I have trouble committing. That's why I don't have a lot of tattoos. All my tattoos were like in moments of, you know, I wasn't thinking about it. I regret them all. I want to cover them up and replace them. I don't really, it's hard to say I really regret them because like the great things about tattoos, it is an art form, so like it's appropriate to talk about on this channel. But um, what I like about tattoos isn't necessarily the art, it's the memory of like why you got it, what you were doing at the time, and stuff like that. Like I got my tattoos like many, many years ago and stuff. So it's like it's hard for me to like actually relate to myself at that time. 11 tattoos? That sounds painful. Um, so it like it's kind of hard to think back to the time when I got my tattoos, but that's what I do. Is like whenever I see them, I'm like, wow, that's weird. Like I was alive back then, doing different things and all of that, and it's kind of like a memory tool to me. Not memory like that movie Memento, where the guy literally had like tattoos all over him just for memory cues, but to me, it kind of works the same way. Um, I do like drawing tattoos, but the ones that I draw, usually like for friends or whatever, they're all like basically line art. There are some amazing tattoo artists out there. Maybe I should give that a shot. Like actually do some pictures in the style of tattoos just to see if I have a knack for that. I don't know if I would. Again, all the ones that I've drawn for like friends and stuff like that, they've been all pretty basic, just basic line art type stuff, and basically what you would see in a comic book if the comic book wasn't colored or shaded in. I do like that too. So it's probably speaking of making things last long and stuff, there's probably like a lot involved in making a tattoo last over the decades that you're going to be alive. Because you see a lot faded and then some that really stand up to the test of time, and it makes me wonder like what's the process there? Like, is it just the ones that don't last very long? Is that just the tattoo artist didn't know what they were doing, or what's going on there? I wonder about things like that. Get some fur going off of this nose over here. It's already starting to look more like a wolf instead of just like a flat mess. This is what they call, working the tonal values of it. You're basically making sure that the shadows are represented and that everything kind of flows into a natural look of, a three-dimensional form. This is something I think is really essential. This is probably, oh, thanks, I'm gonna call you Gedelkin because I know that like Golden Key is Gedelkin, so I'm just gonna call you that. And let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud, but I've known you for many years, so like I know the name. I just don't know if I've ever said it out loud. So apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Um, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, the tonal values. Honestly, this is where the art comes out. Like, all right, I'm going to tell you guys the secret. Don't tell anybody. All right, but I'm going to tell you guys the secret that nobody else knows. It's all about the shadows. It's all about those tonal values, really. The difference between newbie work and work that looks like the person's been drawing or painting or whatever for years. And I'm not saying that I'm there yet, but it's what I think is important to work on. You see a lot of new artists and stuff like that. They draw pictures and stuff and they put in shading, but it's really just like it's just as flat as the line art. If you spend some time working those gradations of shadow, it's going to improve your artwork. It's going to make your artwork look realistic. It's probably the most important thing I think that you can do in your artwork. Well, besides proportions and stuff like that. But you can even get away with like having, like exaggerated proportions in a piece of art as long as you get that tonal stuff down. That's really what makes your art look realistic. I don't know if I'm going to spend hours on this or if I'm going to spend days on this, but I know that if I put in the time to get all the tonal values correct on this wolf, it's going to look good. Even if it's not like photorealistic, it's still going to look good. And that's all about those tonal values. So I was saying I don't know because I can. I'm saying that I'm curious what goes into the longevity of tattoos. So, like, I've seen tattoos that look just like they were added yesterday, decades later. And then I've seen some that, maybe they're only like a year or two old and they're already starting to fade. And I'm wondering what causes that. Like, is it the quality of the ink? Is it just that the tattoo artist doesn't really know what they're doing? Is it because people are different and some people hold ink better than others? That's a weird way to think about it, but that's actually what's going on. So, like, is some skin more predisposed to holding ink? I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that. If you know, please share. Because I'm not in the market for tattoos, but maybe someday I'll probably either get some cover-ups or something like that. Like I've got these like tattoos I had when I was a teenager, and I kind of want more sophisticated art now. I would love to get like so this one here, it's rather large. It kind of takes up this much space. I'd like to get that all covered up with like a bonsai tree or something like that. I think that would look cool. Um, on like whatever this area of the arm is. I think that a tree would look really cool, like one of those bonsai trees that are styled um, artistically. That's what I think at least. Maybe I'll draw that sometime, just kind of like as a concept or something. But whenever I get to it, I have no idea. Thanks, Ada. Ida, sorry. The reason why I'm always mispronouncing your name is that I have a friend named Eileen, and then some people call her Aileen, and I get them confused and stuff. So like that's not your fault. That's my fault. I'm always like mispronouncing your name just because of like a friend that also is spelled hers is spelled Aileen, and I always have trouble. I'm calling her Aileen sometimes. I'm calling her Eileen sometimes. One of these days I'll get it right. Hey, have a good one, man. Moon. Appreciate you stopping in. Um, like I mentioned every time, don't feel like you're missing anything. I'll put this up on the community tab when it's all finished. These things are recorded. You can always come back and check them out later. Don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Just like handle your business. You got other things to do. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's all good. I appreciate you guys showing up. So now that this is darker, I'm looking at this reference picture of the wolf, and I'm like, well, now I kind of need to fill in some of these white areas with just a little bit of a light tone, just so that it's not all white. And then maybe bring some of that light tone out so that's not all white from this area that's much darker. And I mentioned this before, but one of the tips you can do for kind of trying to, capture the tonal value is if you squint at your reference art, whether it's a reference photo or whether it's, a person or you're sitting across from a wolf, which I probably wouldn't be doing unless it's maybe at a zoo or something. Actually, that'd be cool, going to a zoo and drawing animals from the zoo. Anyway, point is, if you squint, you can kind of see those shadows as shapes, right? And then you look at your picture and you do the same, and you're like, oh, I'm missing some shapes here. I think that that's a good tip. That's not something I came up with. That's actually something that a lot of artists do. But if you're not aware of that, it really does work because you start seeing all these like shadows and stuff as shapes instead of like, I don't know. I think that one of the tricks to being an artist is that you have to like constantly battle your brain. So your brain has this idea of what a wolf looks like and what shadows look like and what lights look like. And you have to get outside of your brain and look and not just represent what you well, you have to represent what you see, and you have to represent the idealized form of a wolf, um, not what your brain thinks a wolf looks like, if that makes sense. I know I'm not explaining it very well, but you have to kind of trick your brain, so that you forget what a wolf looks like and draw what's actually in front of you and what you're trying to capture. I'm still not explaining it right, but I tried. Hopefully, you guys get what I'm talking about. Yeah, just forget what you know and draw either what you see or what you want to represent. Don't draw what you think a wolf looks like. Because if you drew what you think a wolf looks like, it'll probably end up looking like a dog, which it's a little bit different. Like some dogs look like this, but yeah. So maybe it is just ink. Good point. Because I can. Maybe it's just like the people I know who's gotten bad tattoos and stuff. They're just they're just using cheap ink. Um, a lot of the a lot of my friends gave themselves tattoos back in the day. Like I don't know, like in when we were teenagers in high school and stuff like that. They would they would either find a tattoo gun or just kind of like I don't know, make a needle or something like that and kind of like stick themselves. So all of that stuff turned out terrible because they didn't really know what they were doing. I was lucky enough to be an adult before I got my tattoos, so mine aren't that bad, but I do want to cover them up and kind of like, I don't know, just come up with something that matches more my frame of mind nowadays. Thanks, Ida. I think it's starting to come together. And it does have a ways to go, but every every little area I work on, it starts to feel right a little bit more. And I do my process is to kind of work on the picture as a whole and then kind of come back and touch up areas. I think that that works better for like a live stream, but also for this style of art, it works to work on the whole picture at once instead of like, oh, I'm going to do this ear perfectly and then come back and do the nose perfectly and so on. I think it makes sense to just hop around and stuff like that. Let the picture develop. I don't know. That's just where I'm at. I think that it works for me. So other people out in the world who work differently, do whatever makes sense to you. Just for me, I like bouncing around. I like bouncing around also when working on watercolor slash painting slash whatever because it allows some areas to dry, and then I can come back and tinker with those. Oops. I don't like how straight of a line this is, so I'm going to kind of fluff this out just a little bit. Just tinkering with it. A lot of fun. And again, to me, this is super relaxing. This is what I would be doing, you know, on a good day. Like if I had nothing else to do in life, like I didn't have chores or, you know, work or school or whatever people do, um, this is what I would be doing. I would be doing this 24/7. Well, I would probably sleep. I would probably eat too, because you guys make me hungry. Um, but I would be doing this all the time. I feel like, and this is outside looking in, but I feel like people who are full-time artists, like that is their actual job. I know the grass is always greener on some on the other side and everything, but to me, that just sounds like the dream job. I don't know what it pays. I don't know if you can live off of it being like a full-time artist, but I can't see not enjoying it. Well, I don't know. People get burnt out on things and stuff. Anything that's fun could end up becoming a chore. But at least where I'm at now, I'm like, man, that would be awesome. Just doing this for fun. Because this is like something you can do while doing other things. You could be listening to a podcast, you can be listening to an audiobook. You can be, if you handle distractions well, you can actually watch a movie while you're doing this. Um, Often I work on pictures while watching something on TV or something. Usually it's not anything that requires my full attention. Usually it's something like a documentary or something like that. I'll have a documentary playing while I'm working on a drawing or a painting or whatever. That wolf is starting to come out of it now, which is cool. That's what I was hoping to get before we called it. The cross between a Siberian Husky and a wolf looks great. Yeah, it is kind of blurring the line, but I feel like the more details I get in here, the more it'll definitely uh, say wolf over Siberian Husky. Although there's not a lot of difference to begin with. Like I don't personally know the differences between like if I was out in the woods, like out in the woods, not like in some neighborhood or something like that, some populated area. If I was out in the woods, and somebody's, escaped like Siberian Husky was just wandering around, that might as well be a wolf to me. I am still like, I'm still shitting bricks, trying to get out of there. That might as well practically be a wolf, and it may be the friendliest wolf in the world, and it won't dawn on me that that's just a dog. In my mind, that's a wolf, and I'm running. I don't even know if that's actually what you should do. Like if you encounter a wolf, what do you do? Just get mauled, I guess. Like I know with like bears and stuff, you're supposed to like not run, make a lot of noise, scare them off and stuff. Maybe it's the same with wolves. I'm gonna have to look that up in case I ever encounter a wolf. I guess you just make a lot of noise and hope they run away. Oh, you have a Siberian Husky and a Rottweiler. I thought you were saying you had like a Siberian Husky Rottweiler mix, and I was like trying to imagine what that might look like. That's pretty cool. I love both of those type of dogs. Thanks, Ida. Yeah, I think this is starting to look the way I wanted it to. I've got some details to add. Like I do like splotches. I like coffee rings and things like that. I always put those into these coffee pictures, but those kind of like after effects, you know. I could put those in um, just to style it up a little bit. It's not part of the core painting. The core painting has to look like a wolf. It has to have a really black nose, which is what I'm working on now. Black eyes. And then we can worry about coffee rings later. But yeah. So I am kind of curious. Those of you who do art, like, where do you guys, where, what interests you the most? So I know that you're probably, like Ida, for you, for example, I was watching your stream the other day, and I think I made the comment that like I don't know if I made it yesterday or the other day, but I made the comment that like in 5, 10 years, I can see you being a gallery artist where you're actually hanging up your work museums or things of that nature, like doing it professionally. I don't know if that's something you're interested in. I don't know if that's like in your game plan or whatever. But I can see that. And I was kind of curious, not just Ida, but anybody who's interested in art. I would love for, chime off and let me know what kind of art you like creating, like what kind of art you don't like creating, where you see yourself developing, as an artist. Like for my own part, I like drawing, but I really like painting, and I'm not as good at painting as I am at drawing. I would like to get better at painting. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think, 5 years down the road, I'd like to be doing paintings more. Be careful not to put your hand in the puddle. I'm just kind of curious what other people think about their own progress. Are you making a coffee art collection for the coffee shop, Just Coffee? Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't really know. The guy seems pretty cool. So, like, if I showed up with like some drawings or something like that, I don't think he'd turn them away. But like, I like the idea of coffee paintings hanging in a coffee shop. So that's where I'm starting off, and go from there. Like, if there's public interest, like people are like, "Hey, that Jeremy guy, he's pretty cool. What else does he do?" I mean, I'll hang up other pieces of pizza. I don't care. It's not like I need attention or anything like that. But if people are paying attention, I'll give them, whatever they want. I don't care. They like comic book pictures. I'll start drawing comic book pictures. Thank you, Ida. I think I can get better over time. I'm playing the long game. In my mind, 5, 10 years down the road, maybe I'll be where I'm at, or where I want to be at. Sorry, I'll be where I'm at. You're always where you're at. I think my biggest thing I need to work on is patience. Like, I don't know. You sometimes hear these people talking about like painting something that takes them like 40 hours because it's a big piece or there's like a lot of detail in it. I don't know if I'd enjoy doing that. That's something I'd have to work on. You would like to get better at drawing, Willie? I think you shared some of your work. I want to say it was landscapes, but I'm not sure. I don't know if that was somebody else's stuff. Um, is that what you enjoy doing? Like, there's a lot of different things that people can draw. I think that some people enjoy doing some subject matter over others. Like, I found that, and this is unexpected to me, but I have found that I like doing animals. If you had asked me before I started, like if I was going to be doing a lot of animals, I would have said, nah, probably not. But yeah, I kind of enjoy doing that. I'm surprised at how much I really enjoy doing animals. I would have thought like landscapes, probably, I don't know. I don't know what I had in mind when I started out. I think like not drawing portraits, but people more than I have been. I thought I would be doing more of that, but I don't know. I really like drawing animals. They're fun. Thank you. I appreciate it. Your niece has paintings in a popular coffee shop in Denver. That's cool to me. Like that's awesome. Like feel free to like shoot me some of the photos of like her like what'd you say niece? Yeah. So her work. Um, I'm always interested in seeing what other people work on. Like other people's stuff. Like gives me inspiration. Like my Instagram feed is all art. Like not even like I have nieces and nephews of my own. I just scroll past their photos of their kids and stuff like that, and I'm like, let me get past all that family stuff. I want to look at art. Oh crap! My nieces and nephew might actually be watching this show. Hey, I look at every single picture you guys post. I don't just skip over the family pictures. I forget sometimes this is a public. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I forget that this is a public live stream where, yeah, family members might actually be watching. I do like my nieces and nephews. I don't have any kids myself, but I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, mostly from one brother. He was very productive, I guess. And I've got I want to say I I don't know. I'd have to count them all off, but I think I've got like around 15 nieces and nephews. There's quite a few. And then my other brother just recently had a kid as well. So like that's why I've lost count. I just completely lost count. Um, and some of them are adults now and stuff. It's really cool to see how they've progressed in life. Because I remember when they were just like little kids and stuff, hanging off my arm or something like that. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, and I've got some I've got some nieces and nephews that moved to Sweden a couple of years back, so it's kind of interesting keeping in touch with them. Just learning about like Swedish culture and things like that, stuff that I would have never thought about. And like I like foreign countries and stuff, but Sweden was not on my list. Like I like Japanese culture a lot, but so like I would definitely like to go there. I would like to go to some of the places that have like ancient ruins and things like that. I like that kind of stuff. I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid. But Sweden was not on my radar. So the fact that they're living in Sweden now is kind of cool because like I get to learn about a culture that I've never even thought about. Yeah. So like I have to be careful what I say about family and stuff like that because they may be watching. That's a good point. But they know I like them. Like I don't really like they know that if I do say something bad or something like that, they know I'm just joking because like I adore my family. They're great people. Um, that probably goes true for virtually anybody. Like if it ever sounds like I'm putting somebody down or something like that, it's probably a joke, and I'll probably like almost immediately I'll say I'm just joking because it is. I don't have any kind of like ill will towards anybody, even complete strangers. So most of the people who know me know that I'm just joking around. But they all have good senses of humor too, so it's easy. But yeah, I mean, it is fun to watch them become like I don't know, like when people start off in life and they're just like little babies or whatever, and it's like you're just looking at this like drooling mess of a person. I like it when they grow up and become people. Not saying that babies aren't people and stuff. Of course they're people. They're like little tiny miniature people. But they don't really have a personality beyond like how loud can I scream. I like when, like eventually they start having thoughts and you start listening to them and you're like, wow, that was actually a really profound thought that kid just had. And that's when they start becoming interesting and stuff. And all of my nieces and nephews are definitely in that age where they're full on people now and stuff like that. And it's great to watch them like actually progress in life and things like that. A lot of them are not all of them. Some of them are still pretty young, but a lot of them are of the age where they're out. They're most of them are like employed age. Like my younger brother just had a kid, so that's the baby moment. But most of my nieces and nephew, they're out there. They have jobs and stuff. Some of them are old enough to like be married and things like that. So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to watch them progress. they're all definitely smarter than me. Like when I was that age, I was not making as good of decisions as they are. I think people are just generally more mature at that age now. It's weird. But you guys don't know what I'm talking about because you don't know any of these people, so I'll shut up. One of my disappointments, I guess I should call it. I'm not like upset or anything, but one of my disappointments is none of them are really into art. Like they have an appreciation of art, but none of them are artists themselves that I've seen. I don't know, maybe they like keep it secret or something like that because they're not competent or anything yet. But I haven't seen any of them really express an interest in art. So that's a little disappointing because I'd like to share that kind of stuff with them. It'd be kind of cool. Hey, Hoolie's in the house. How are you doing today? Hopefully your week is going well. Just working on this like wolf named coffee. I think it's got a ways to go, but I think it's probably looking good enough to where I feel comfortable with the progress it's making. So that's good. Appreciate the compliment. So like some of this stuff, you don't really know until you start working on that area. So like up here, I noticed that underneath this ear, it really should be a little bit darker than like areas through here. Um, so I'll come back in and just kind of work that a little bit. A lot of it comes together at the last minute. You have all your basic shapes in there and stuff like that. The details kind of go pretty quickly. You just kind of constantly reworking it. But through here, I noticed that it should be a little bit darker because you got a little bit of a shadow off of that ear. And then, like, here's a good example. So through here, there's not really a lot of like going on, and it doesn't really look all that interesting. I can take this ear and kind of like get some detail of it going into the top of the fur up here. And I think that that works a lot better than what was going on. I don't know if it's the correct term, but I'm fluffing up his hair right now. I feel like that should be an artistic term. Fluffing it. And fluff up this fur up here. And then there's always this balance where you don't want to overwork it. You want it to be, you do want to suggest things rather than like be in your face about it on some of the things, especially in like a style like this where it's supposed to be kind of expressive. Um, so it's not like you want to draw every single strand of hair or anything like that, but you do want to have enough in there where it suggests the major things that you want the viewer to see. So it's kind of like this balance back and forth. Hey, thanks, Vertigo. Jeremy, despite your remarkable talent in the arts, you consistently underestimate your abilities and label yourself as mediocre. I, in fairness, I don't really think it's mediocre. I just know where I want to be, and whenever I'm looking at this stuff, it's through that lens. So, like, I appreciate that, and that's a great compliment. And I do respect you guys' view on these things. And trust me, honestly, I really, really appreciate it. But that said, I look at it where I want to be and where I am, and it's like, how do I get from here to there? So that's the way I look at it. So it's always through that view. What Ida? What am I supposed to be guessing? You guys are always having me guess things. Um, were you abducted by aliens? Should I call somebody? Like what am I guessing here? That's my best guess. You were abducted by aliens. Tell me I'm right. I feel like I should be right on one of these guesses. Whenever Tyler comes in and tells me, guess what? I always get it. I always get it wrong. One of these days, I will get a Tyler guess right. But no, I mean, like, I guess maybe I should curb some of that stuff. Like, I don't want to make it seem like all this stuff sucks. I don't think that. It's just think it's not where I want to be yet. And I'm not even that particularly hard on myself. I don't know where that comes from, but I just want to. It's that impatience thing that I was talking about. Like that's really what it is. It's like I've got to learn patience. It's what's that girl from Willy Wonka? Is it Veruca Salt? The one that's like, I want it now. I want to be where I want to be now. I don't want to work on it. I just want to be like an amazing artist without even working on it. But that's not the way the world works. You really have to practice. You have to practice all the time. And I don't feel like this is that weird. It's like imagine that you're like a you're oh, you finished your lino cut. That's amazing. Cool. Yes, you were also abducted by aliens. But that's not the important part. I like that comment. It's not important that you were abducted by aliens. It's important that you finished your art. I completely love that way of looking at it. Hopefully you share that, and I will definitely check that out. And I encourage everybody else to check it out. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Oh, you just finished The Crown. Yeah, we were talking about that, Huli. That is an amazing show. Like I don't know if anybody else watches The Crown in here, but what was it? Like late last year, they finished on that show. Like it's done. They've caught up to the present moment. So they're not making any more of it. And I love that show. I think it was great. I mentioned to Huli, I didn't know anything about the royal family before watching that show, and I was hooked. Like the history of it, just like some of those things. Like they kind of centered the show where each episode was around different historical events and stuff. And even though I wasn't paying attention at the time because I live in the United States, so like you know, they're not my royal family. But I do remember some of these events that they covered in that show, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That because I didn't know that that's the kind of stuff that happened. Like, you know, the unfortunate passing of Princess Diana. I remember when that happened, but I don't like before watching that show. I didn't remember any of the details of it. Like, um, I didn't know some of the important stuff that they covered. So, your parents watch the crime. Wait, what are you calling us old? It's a great show. It really is. I like historical dramas. It's almost like watching a documentary, but it's got a plot to it. So that's kind of cool about it. And this season was actually really good as well. And then of course, you know, spoiler alert, the queen did pass away recently, so they kind of touch upon that stuff. Which that lady, that lady lived a life. Like, I don't recall when she was born, but she put in her time. It's pretty it's an interesting life. Like when they went back to the beginning of the show, she was already 25 years old, so she was already an adult, and that was a long time back. But yeah, I really like that show, and I'm glad that you guys do too. Hi, Ida. Glad you got your artwork done. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Everybody, go check out Ida's artwork when she posts it. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Her channel's doing really well. If you haven't subscribed to it, be sure to. But she's up to like 10,000 subscribers or something. I'm like, geez, she's she's doing very well. But of course, with good reason. Like, she puts in the work. That's kind of the moral of the story here. You know, you put in the work, it pays off. But yeah, the Crown is awesome. I'm trying to think of other shows. I just ended up finishing. So like around the holidays, I started binge watching Community again. I had already seen it, but I went back to rewatch it and stuff. I liked it. I think better the second time around. Like the last couple of seasons, when I first watched it, I was like, I'm not really into it. But on a rewatch, that is an amazing show. I love that. And I heard that they're making a movie. Like their tagline was always 6 seasons in a movie. So I'm happy that they're supposed to be a movie in development. Oh, thanks, Hui. Yeah, I'm painting here. I don't really, I'm not really set up to be posting links and stuff like that. I appreciate you linking to that. Oh yeah, Huli's the girl. Um, I've known Huli forever, but the funny thing about Huli is I have Hulu, and I'm always getting those confused. I know I've told that story before, but it is a problem. Every time I go to say Hulu, I end up saying Huli, it's becoming a bit of a problem. So you're just gonna have to change your name, Huli. That's all. I would appreciate it. So I think that's looking pretty good. So the parts that are probably going to develop off screen is I'm going to make this look like less messy and like more interesting, but it's going to kind of fade out, and then somehow I'm going to kind of blend that into um, this wolf. I'll probably continue developing some of the tonal values in the face, but I do like how that's going. So I don't know how much work I've got left on that. There are some minor details here and there. I don't want it to look overdone. I do want it to be more detailed here and then like less detailed. That's how you create visual interest in a picture. For those of you guys who are here to learn about that kind of stuff, there's a couple of different ways to do it. One is light and dark. I've mentioned that before, creating a contrast between light and dark. And then it's just creating contrast in general. So um, my dog's over here drinking water. That's not me. Um, Creating contrast creates visual interest. I don't know if it's just like a conflict kind of thing, but the contrast between light and dark that creates visual interest. Contrast in detail, so like where some areas are like hyper detailed and other areas are like less detailed. It just makes for a really cool picture, but also it creates visual interest. It helps guide the viewer's eyes. So like when you have an area that's super detailed like this, your eyes are going to be instantly drawn to the eyes, for example. Your eyes are going to be drawn to the wolf's eyes. And then, your eyes are probably going to start meandering from there and then eventually probably end up like somewhere over here. That's just the way the brain works. Um, and artists kind of take advantage of it. So, um, yeah, we're just manipulating your eyeballs. That's all. Nothing to see here. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. And artists take advantage of that basic way of human sight and kind of direct your eyes to different areas. Just playing with your senses. That's all. Now the dog isn't drinking bourbon. I've got a little water bowl over here. They used to be really annoying about having to like leave within like an hour of me starting the show or something. So I figured I'd put some food in here and some water and stuff so that they don't feel like they have to go out or anything like that. They're still annoying, but yeah, he's over there scratching at the door now. So so obviously they're awake and they're starting to be annoying. So I probably will kind of wrap this up soon. Plus, I think it's in a good spot. I'm in the spot where I'm adding details to the face, and a lot of the other stuff is just catch up. Most of it's stylistic. I do like the direction this is going, so that's good. I don't know how much time I've got left on it, but in my mind, it's probably more than an hour, so I'm not going to subject you guys to that, and or subject my own dogs to that. A lot of it's just going back over places that I've already gone anyway, and just kind of adding a little bit more copy in those areas. I don't know if you have to do it, but I work from really light to darker bits, so I don't know if you could come in here and maybe just like throw down a really dark area copy, but it doesn't seem to work for me. Maybe somebody else could, but it doesn't seem to go that well. So yeah. Um, yeah, so we're a little bit over 2 hours. So I think I am going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. You guys are the best. Again, this is the highlight of my week whenever I do these live streams, and I largely have you guys to thank for that. I know that sometimes viewers come in here after the fact, so just I've been trying to set that as the New Year's resolution to remind myself to let you guys know that, I do appreciate it if you guys would like and subscribe. That helps me out. Maybe someday I'll have enough subscribers where I can just do dog pictures for fun and just give them away for free. That's actually my goal. Like one day, but got to build up to that. So in the meantime, you guys can help with that by liking and subscribing and watching the pictures. They usually they turn out all right. You might waste your time watching one that doesn't turn out all right, but at least it's fun hanging out. Maybe there's a little bit of humor in that. But I do appreciate it, and you guys are the best. So, but yeah, it kind of looks like a wolf. I think it'll get there. Sorry, every time I say I'm going to end, I end up tinkering with things. But it's like these little things, it's like little details, just little tiny details and stuff just go so far. Um, it really comes out when you watch the time lapse, because like you see these little details going in, and then it's like 5 seconds later you're watching out and repeat, and you're like, wow, it went from that to that. That's really interesting. That's the kind of stuff I like to watch whenever I watch other people's stuff. It's just like, the picture developing and whatever. All right, but this is probably a good point to like actually call it, because the dogs are getting antsy and stuff like that. So yeah, Vertigo, it's good to see you in here. I hope to see you again in the future. I suspect most of you guys are in here because it's super cold out there in some areas and you got nothing better to do. But hey, I'll take it. I appreciate it. But yeah, so Vertigo, Kid, Huli, Hater, Sapien Nomad. Oh, and Tom's in here too. Cool. Hey, I appreciate that. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna finish this up probably either later tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'll post it up on the community tab. That's probably the best place to look for this kind of stuff. I do have like Instagram and I guess it's called X now, whatever Twitter is. But yeah, you don't need to go all those places. This is the YouTube environment, so I'm not going to make you guys go through extra work. Just check the community tab. I'll post it up there. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully this didn't bore you. I know that I have done some other coffee paintings recently, so like hopefully it's not repetitive. I do try to like keep it interesting for you guys. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I'm going to finish up my bourbon and head on out. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. See you guys probably Friday. I'll be back for then. I don't know what I'm going to work on, but it'll be awesome, like all these things are. So see you guys. Bye. Bear says hi. Bye.